So there are just thousands and thousands of pathogens all around our environment, and they're constantly invading our bodies. So if we didn't have some sort of defense system, we'd constantly be sick or dying. That would just be terrible. But fortunately, we have a system of defense, and that is the immune system. And that defends us against this constant onslaught of pathogens in our environment. So the immune system can actually be broken down into having kind of 3 lines of defense against disease. Now, the first line of defense is basically the first most important thing about the first line of defense is an organ called the skin. And so the skin, basically it's a physical barrier. So the skin does a fantastic job of keeping bad stuff out of the middle of our bodies. So it covers most of our bodies, and it just keeps the bad stuff out from the inside, and that keeps us really, really safe from disease. It does an amazing job. Another amazing thing is that we actually excrete in our tears and our saliva and our sweat, we actually excrete chemicals which are antibacterial, which basically damage bacteria. So in the liquids that are excreted from our bodies, those liquids have antibacterial properties which help to defend us against pathogens, like bacteria in our environment, which is just amazing. But you also have physical mechanisms. So like sneezing is something which happens achoo, when your body is expelling something from itself. So if you sneeze something out, you might have all sorts of different particles or pathogens caught up in your nasal passages, and when you sneeze them out, it's gross for the people around you, but you may actually be sneezing out some pathogens. So that's how you kind of stop pathogens getting inside the body. That's the first line of defense. But unfortunately, sometimes the pathogens do get inside our body. And the second line of defense basically involves, there's lots of different types of white blood cells, but it involves some white blood cells like phagocytes. So phagocytes are these amazing white blood cells, so they travel around in our bloodstream, and what they do is they eat or they phagocytize foreign particles that do get into our body. So if somehow something gets past the first line of defense and it gets into our blood or something, there's white blood cells called phagocytes, and they eat, they kind of consume other foreign particles and kill them. They digest them. So just down here, I've got an example of this yellow thing here is a phagocyte, and you can see that it's kind of eating this orange stuff here, and this orange stuff is actually anthrax bacteria. So really dangerous bacteria, but the phagocyte is just going up to it and going, well, I'm actually recognizing that you're a foreign particle, so you're not self, you're not part of the organism, and I'm going to consume you. I'm going to eat you up and get rid of you. So these phagocytes, they recognize foreign particles and consume them. And all foreign particles, they just eat them up and get rid of them. And they're all around, they're traveling in our bloodstream all the time, just constantly mopping up and protecting us against some sort of pathogenic invasion. And so that's the second line of defense. It's not specific, just any foreign particle, they'll go and they'll try and kill it, and they'll try and get it, and they'll try and eat it. And that's the second line of defense, once the particles kind of get in. Now, the third line of defense against disease also involves white blood cells, but again, it's these special white blood cells called lymphocytes. So what happens here is that when a foreign particle comes into your body, it's got a different shape, it's got different chemicals on it, and they're foreign, and the body knows that they're foreign because it recognizes them. So foreign particles have something on them called antigens. So it's something with a particular shape, and there's heaps and heaps of different antigens. But your body has in it lymphocytes, and the lymphocytes have on their surface, they have something called an antibody. So it's a different type of chemical, it has a specific shape, and there's lots of different antibodies. So when these lymphocytes are just kind of traveling around the blood, sometimes they'll find a foreign particle. Or, they'll bump into things all the time, and they'll bump into things that they don't quite fit to. And sometimes they'll bump into things which are a foreign particle, and they'll fit like a lock fits into a key. And when that happens, it says, the lymphocytes say, whoa, this is foreign. We need to get rid of this really badly. We need to get rid of this quickly. And they stick to it, and then they call in the defense basically. So they call in all sorts of other cells, and cells then replicate enormously and come to the area, and then they replicate the same type of antibodies which go round to all these antigens, and then they stick on them, and that enables them to then be consumed and beaten, I suppose, so the body then wins. But really importantly, in that whole process of defending against disease, there are these cells called B memory cells produced. And they just remain in the bloodstream for years or even for life. And they have those antibodies on them that recognize that particular antigen, that foreign particle. So the next time that foreign particle comes into your body, you've got these B memory cells, and they recognize it really quick, and then they're able to respond really quickly to that foreign particle and kill it straight away before you even get sick. So that's the third line of defense. So what it does is it remembers bad things that have been in your body, and the next time it sees them, it kills them really, really quickly, so you don't even get sick. So that's how the immune system works. It's got 3 lines of defense. It's got, first of all, these physical barriers and chemical barriers which stops bad stuff getting in. And then the second line of defense is these white blood cells called phagocytes, and they just kind of consume foreign particles and digest them and break them up and kill them, and that stops you getting sick. But then if you do get sick, there are these B memory cells, or types of lymphocytes, and they remember the bad particles, so that the next time those bad particles do get into your body's just able to respond really quickly and kill it off really quickly, so you don't get sick again. And when you've got that memory, you've actually got something called immunity. And that's how the immune system works. It's got 3 lines of defense against disease.